I guess they weren't paying attention, so. Which I'm glad they weren't, because I would have hated to cut any of those movies differently.
Does the live-action Suicide Squad impact on this at all, or do you not even care about that?
Alan read the script for that. I haven't seen it, nor have I read the script. I didn't want to be influenced by it, even at all. I know the property. I know what I think Suicide Squad is, and we got the green light to do it because of the movie, but I didn't want to be beholden to it at all. So, and I from what I'm hearing, that's probably a good thing. I don't know. So I haven't seen it.
Is the R rating, is that a trend that we can look forward to in the future, based on the success of maybe Deadpool, and assuming this one's going to crush?
I think as long as they make money, that they'll be, like Killing Joke did really well. I haven't heard on Gotham by Gaslight, but the thing what they're telling us now, which is great to know, is that they basically are saying make the movie you want to make, and if it feels like it needs to be an R, we'll leave it at that. But I think now they've embraced that as a strategy. It used to be for a while the theory was our movies didn't make money. Like they were scared to release R-rated movies, even when the material kind of necessitated that. So I'm glad at least now we have the option. I mean, I don't plan on making an R-rated, I don't think R-rated Wonder Woman movie would be particularly good or necessary, or, there's certain characters and franchises that rate an R. I think Batman, certain elements of Batman can go that way. I don't see an R-rated Superman, So, I don't know. I mean, we haven't gotten our rating for Death of Superman yet, so I may have to revise that, but I don't think that's going to happen, so.
Yeah, I mean, if they were able to do the Elite without an R,
Oh, you mean the movie Elite? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
because that seemed to kind of pair.
It's weird, though, because they weren't paying as close attention. The ratings board wasn't looking at our movies as closely as they do now. So there's probably elements of the Elite that now would have garnered an R in this, now that they're paying attention. I don't know. People think they get a cartoon and they just, there's a default that clicks in about it. Even though there's any number of animes that are way more over the top than we ever get. But there's just something about American culture. They look at they hear cartoon or animation, and they just don't expect to see anything. So I think before they were just on automatic pilot. Maybe they weren't really watching the movie they were supposed to be rating. I don't know. But they've been watching the ones I've been doing. So.
Brought up, as a side note, you brought up Death of Superman.
Yeah.
How tough has it been taking that storyline and adapting it?
I don't know how much I can talk about it, but it's tough in that, it's like, I don't know how long Death of Superman went as a stunt. It felt like it was a year, 2 years maybe, before it was fully resolved, so there was a lot of material to sift through. Some of it was easy to cut out because it was just either very dated or it, didn't quite make sense in context to what we're doing now. Like, Supergirl made of plasma, or protoplasma. That was easy to cut out, So certain things, I think, and I'll talk more about it when the time comes, but the core of the movie, to me, feels like the spirit of what that was. So, it definitely is not a blow-by-blow translation, but in spirit it feels like more like what that event was. So.
Suicide Squad is kind of like always a hodgepodge of characters. What goes into picking the characters that you use, and kind of, are there any that you haven't used yet that you're like, I really want to play with?
When you pick Suicide Squad members, it's hard because I'll pick my favorite characters, but then I know, chances are that character's going to get killed then. So there's like 3 characters in this that I personally wanted in it, who are favorites of mine, who don't quite have a happy ending. So I don't know. I just go back to my Bronze Age growing up reading DC Comics and say, who's cool? I mean, Copperhead's in it because for some reason I love Copperhead. I put him in everything I've ever worked on, if I could. So, and he's a cool character. So, but also you want to pick characters that maybe don't have quite as much exposure as some of the others, and give them an arc, give them some life before you kill them.
So who do you kill? No, I'm just kidding.
I can't. I'll be spoiling things, but
With the success of Batman and Scooby-Doo, any chance we could see another season of Brave and the Bold?
well, I haven't seen numbers on Batman Scooby, so I don't know if success qualifies. They haven't told me. I would hope. I mean, I don't know. I never say never. I didn't know we would end up doing that. I do know from having worked with Bruce Timm all these years that it ain't over till it's over. When I started working with him, they had finished the original run of BTAS, and the first show I worked with him on was Superman, and I thought, well, I missed my chance to work with Bruce Timm on a Batman show. And then they, did the unofficial fourth season, and then I got to work on a Bruce Timm Batman show, and then Batman Beyond. So, maybe I think if whoever was 10 years old watching it when it was on, in 10 years they're running a studio, they'll say, hey, I want to see more of that. So if I'm not retired, maybe I'll do it. I don't know. I hope so. I'd settle for just a few more movies, because I think there's more potential for that character and that version of Batman, since he skews younger, to use that version of the character to embrace other parts of Warner's library. We already use H&B heroes, so I'd love to expand on that if there's an opportunity. So we'll see. I hope so.
Does that remain your favorite of your Batman stuff you've done? Because you always have such a warm spot for it.
Brave and the Bold? Yeah, I mean, I loved working on BTAS because it was Batman, and it was, working with Bruce Timm was always interesting. But Brave and the Bold was my Batman that it was the Batman I grew up with, the way I see Batman. So, and it was nice that it was something that kids could watch as a first entry to Batman before they got into the harder stuff. Because I read about people who wouldn't let their kids watch BTAS, and I'm like, well, that's a shame. There's not a Batman for a younger audience to get, so that they could work their way up to that. So, I'll always. Brave and the Bold will be the most fun I've ever had on anything. I don't see having more fun on anything after that. I've enjoyed the movies, but they're a whole different challenge.
Which,
I guess I'm good. He hasn't pulled me away yet. So.
which Suicide Squad character did you feel like we could play with the most as far as creating that arc, like you said, and really kind of...
Well, I think Alan wrote the script, and he did a great job giving each character an inner life, a backstory. So they all kind of pop in a way that is unexpected. So there aren't any people that you don't care about in this. You really have, and since there isn't really a hero, you're able to view these characters as people, and you don't really think about, oh, that's a supervillain. You just think of them as a character, and I think in a way you come to understand them more because there's no heroes around telling the audience, oh, they're bad. And so they all have a good, they have an inner life that's refreshing. I think Bronze Tiger probably has the most. So we go deep into his backstory a lot. He hasn't gotten a lot of attention in animation. I don't know if he's, other than Brave and the Bold, I don't know if he's been in anything else that I can think of. He wasn't on Justice League. We didn't get to put him on that. So I think he's probably going to be a surprise for people. ready for me?
Hey,
Swap,
Jane,
all right.
last one, almost a year since he passed away. Do you have any memories or thoughts about Adam West?
Adam West? Oh, he was, I've said it before, but he's exactly the person you would have wanted him to be. He is like your funny uncle, your kind grandfather. You know, it's been almost, what, 2 years? Has it been 2 years yet? Or
Almost a year.
It's amazing. It hasn't dawned on me. It hasn't sunken in. I mean, I got to work with them twice. Well, more than twice, 4 times actually, but I don't know. I think I'm still in shock, actually.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
you.
you.